that the United States defense establishment is a very, very expensive operation. We spend an awful lot of money on projects to produce the next generation fighter plane or the next generation submarine. And the reality is that, as we can see in Ukraine, 21st century warfare will still require lots of tanks, artillery pieces, shells, and for that matter, the 21st century piece drones, unmanned vehicles of varying kinds. And it's just hard to mass produce those with the industrial base that we have today. And I think that's important, because latent in any Cold War is the possibility of hot war. And not just proxy wars. We need to bear in mind that if there's a war over Taiwan, it has clearly the possibility to escalate into a large-scale conflict, regional if not global. Japan would be a combatant without question. There's no way the United States could fight a war to defend or liberate Taiwan without Japan's involvement. And the scale of such a conflict, Jim Stavridis tried to visualize it in a recent book, would be absolutely cataclysmic, much, much larger than the war in Ukraine. And I do think this would focus minds like nothing else, nothing quite like a sinking aircraft carrier to put aside the petty disputes of the internet. And this is the difference between war and natural disaster, Adam. A natural disaster, like a pandemic or an earthquake or whatever, you can turn that into retail politics. You can make that partisan issue. But an attack on US forces or US civilians is a completely different thing, particularly if there's...
Because of the agency?
Yeah, war is different because we think of it as a man-made disaster, and we regard, not unreasonably, there as being malice at work. So I think that would drastically alter the landscape. And I do think the seeds of national unity have already been planted in the debates over the Chinese economic challenge, China's responsibility for the pandemic. We've got a measure taking shape at the moment to ban TikTok in the United States. The US Congress is on the warpath. The US Commerce Department's imposed really quite stringent sanctions on the Chinese economy in the last year, to an extent that people underestimate. We are on the road to war with China. The Chinese see that. Listen to what Xi Jinping just said in Beijing. And this makes all of our kind of meme battles, the endless and ultimately tedious debates about Twitter, it all will pale into utter insignificance if there's a war over Taiwan.